Democratic Party has gotten steadily more and more radical. They ask Americans to see ourselves as victims. But in today's Democratic Party, there is a hierarchy of victims, and some victims trump other victims. This bill reflects the radical Democrats' war on women. The Democrats have made the decision that women are not high enough on the hierarchy of victims, and so this bill would, in effect, repeal Title IX, which created an incredible revolution of girls' sports and women's sports in colleges and universities and in high schools and junior highs throughout this country. And it would repeal much of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. This bill is not a discrimination bill. The Democrats, when they're talking about this bill, want to frame it as a discrimination bill. They don't want to own the radical aspects of this bill. It is none of government's business what consenting adults do in their own bedrooms. It is none of government's business the sexual orientation or gender identity of adults in their own lives. But this bill is not about that. This bill is about mandating that biological males should be allowed to compete in girls' sports and women's sports, effectively repealing Title IX. This bill is about suing pastors and churches if they teach biblical teachings on sexuality and morality. This bill is about suing you, an individual citizen, if you dare speak and disagree with their mandated orthodoxy. This bill is about power, and this bill is dangerous. You know, it is striking and it's revealing that when Senator Grassley asked for an additional witness to be added to this panel, Kathy Mitchell, who is the mother of a student athlete harmed by the policies of the Equality Act, the Democratic majority refused. They didn't want the American people to hear from Kathy Mitchell, to hear about the unfairness to little girls having girls' sports destroyed because of the radical policies of today's Democrats. Ms. Shire, in your judgment, what are the risks to young girls and to young women if this bill is passed?
Well, it will end women's sports, and all those girls who dreamed of going out of the team will take a look at the risks to their health, to their body, to their safety, and the incredibly long shot of ever succeeding, and they won't bother.
So, Ms. Shire, tell this committee and tell America how it will end women's sports. You know, as I said that, my friend Chairman Durbin glared over and disagreed, and no doubt viewed that as partisan hyperbole. So let me ask you as an expert, why would this bill end women's sports?
We'll take the sport of deadlifting, Olympic deadlifting. So the record for the male in deadlifting is about 1,100 pounds he can lift. The record for the female, this is the best female deadlifter in the world, the greatest record, is around 600 pounds. So you see how many athletes you're eliminating. It means that the fastest girl runner never makes it to the Olympics. She never makes it to the team. In the state of Connecticut, 13 out of 14 championships of titles in 2019 were taken by just 2 high school boys, biological boys.
So pause and reflect. I mean, that stat is amazing. You just told this committee in Connecticut, 13 out of 14 titles in girls' sports and track were taken by 2 biological boys, which means biological girls, their sports are eliminated.
Yes, and those biological boys who had competed in the past on boys' teams had no standout achievements on the boys' teams.
You know, I have to say, as the father of 2 young girls, that girls' sports has had a profound impact in their lives. Our youngest girl, Catherine, plays softball every Sunday. I'm out on the softball field with her at practice. And the discipline, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the competitiveness that girls' sports teaches is effectively destroyed from this bill. Ms. Hassan, let me ask you, what are the consequences for pastors and churches and individuals expressing either free speech or religious liberty if this radical bill becomes law?
One of the problems is that under the Equality Act, it sends the message that to affirm biological reality, the difference between males and females, that that's bigotry, that that's discrimination. And there are many religious congregations that hold that as a matter of faith. So here we are, that's going to be now redefined as something that to hold that belief is.
So, Ms. Hassan, you're saying if I say boys are different from girls, that I could be sued in the private workplace just as an individual citizen?
I think we're opening up that risk, and I think we're going to see harassment lawsuits as well, because there's a chilling effect. If the whole idea here is to affirm that biological sex doesn't matter, that all that matters is self-perception, then we're going to see that coming out as a sword. And religious people who hold that in good faith are going to be the ones who are going to suffer the consequences.
Thank you.
And
go ahead and finish your reply.
no, the other comment I was going to say is that for religious organizations, we've heard so much about the effect of the pandemic, and it mystifies me why we would want to disincentivize religious organizations from serving, why we would want to make it more difficult for them to remain true to their beliefs and to serve the marginalized and vulnerable, as religious organizations do so well for our country.
Thank you very much. Senator Tillis?
Mr. Chair, I think Senator Kennedy's ahead of me,
Really?
sadly.
Senator Kennedy?